Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our SEO webinar today. My name is Callie Mitchmore. I'm with ClubOS. We're going to give everyone about 2 more minutes to jump on. We have a couple of stragglers coming in. So we will start the webinar at about 10:02, 10:03. Thanks for being patient, and we look forward to getting this started. All right. Hello, everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, I'm the marketing coordinator here at ClubOS. We're really excited to have a webinar on search engine optimization. This is going to be recorded, so we will send this out afterwards if you want to share with your teams. And there will be an email at the end for any questions, so you can direct your questions there. But for now, I'm going to kick it off over to Andy Miles, our presenter today, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Just to give you a quick background information on myself, I am Andy Miles. I was the director of marketing at HealCode until we were acquired by MindBody, at which time I decided to branch out and start my own fitness and wellness business consultancy. During my years at HealCode, I was able to travel the world working with gym, yoga, Pilates, fitness, and even fencing business owners. That gave me the privilege of seeing exactly how these businesses handled a lot of their online marketing efforts, which oddly enough rarely included much on search engine optimization. So that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to do an SEO webinar for ClubOS. So my belief is that while not everyone can be an SEO expert, it doesn't mean that you should just trust that you've done all you can or that your website is automatically taking care of it for you. That's simply not going to be the case. So today I won't be covering everything under the SEO sun, as that could easily take weeks. And some companies have entire departments dedicated just to SEO. However, I've tried to create this webinar with both extreme beginners and those with some existing SEO knowledge in mind. So what is SEO? SEO stands for search engine optimization. So at this point, we all basically think of Google as a government utility, but it's very much a business, and Google wants to show their customers, otherwise known as searchers, the content that they think best fits their customers' searching needs. The better optimized your website is to be the source of that information, the more likely Google is to show it to their customers. With SEO, you're trying to tell Google, hey, we're the greatest resource for that thing the searcher is looking for. Show our website first. That's really the whole point of SEO, to be shown at the top of Google searches for whatever it is your potential members are searching for. And that's really what I'm going to help explain how to do today. So really, before we dive in, I want to quickly review the elements of a Google search results page, even though there isn't anyone attending this webinar that isn't already familiar with them. So at the top level, we have what's known as a search engine results page. It's just a fancy way of saying the page Google shows the results for whatever was searched. We all probably see this page every single day. So then we have AdWords. Those are the ads that usually show up when we perform a search. Google ads are not SEO. Ads are a way for companies to pay to be placed above organic web page search results. It's kind of like cutting in line and paying for the privilege. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not SEO. After that, we have our organic search results that appear in a specific order based on SEO. So that's something we're definitely going to be focusing on today. That specific order is known as a rank or position. That's a web page's placement within the search engine results page. The point of SEO is to rank at the top. So as with most things in life, you want to be number one. Your chances of having one of your web pages clicked from a search engine results page go down the lower you rank on the list. And if you're not on page one, then you might as well be on page 2000 because no one's going to find you. So the last thing I want to define is the Google web crawler. Crawler is definitely a creepy name. Every time I hear the name Google crawler, I think of the mechanical robot creatures from the Matrix. What's really interesting is that they're actually not very different from each other. They're both looking for organic content to consume, but thankfully all the Google crawlers want is delicious organic digital content from your website. The Google crawler is what scours the internet looking for new or updated websites to crawl, which is how Google gathers information on what websites to show when specific searches are performed. So how does SEO help with your bottom line? While not quite as simple as what I've written above, it is the basic idea. The more targeted visitors to your website equals more money in your bank account. You want to make sure Google knows it should show your website and also to know that your website is valuable enough to the searcher that it should rank your web pages at the top of the search engine results page. The more that Google serves up your website pages on their search engine results pages, the more clicks you get and therefore the more money you make because targeted people are landing on your website. So how long does SEO take to show results? Before we really dive in, I do want to say that optimizing your website for search engines does not generate success overnight. SEO is a long-term investment, but you will eventually see dividends if you commit to certain strategies. At first, it may feel more time-consuming than it's worth, but as with most things in life, getting started is really going to be the hardest part. So my aim with this webinar is to show you how valuable SEO can be and also to provide you with some actionable things you can do today. So let's get started. Let's first talk about your website. As I've already mentioned, SEO is about your website and getting more targeted people visiting it. In order to do that, you have to make sure you follow Google's rules. Later on in the webinar, I'll tell you some specific ideas on how to get people to actually visit your website. But before that, we have to make sure Google knows you have a website to begin with and that it's worth showing in search results. So mobile friendliness, having a mobile friendly website is no longer optional. It's something that without your business will start to suffer as Google will stop ranking your website as highly as otherwise possible. Without a mobile friendly website, Google will punish you because as I stated before, your website isn't taking care of Google's customers as most of them are now searching for things on their phones. And if your website doesn't give them a good mobile experience, Google isn't going to show your website to their customers, which are the searchers. So if you want to ensure your website is mobile friendly, just type the words mobile friendly into Google. You should see a form at the very top, which is Google's own way of saying, hey, make sure your website is mobile friendly. The information you'll see on that page is actually very helpful. So just because you have a mobile friendly website doesn't let you off the hook. It also needs to load fast. The speed at which your mobile friendly website loads is a newly confirmed Google ranking factor. And as a reminder, ranking is where your website shows up in the search engine results page. The higher you rank, the more likely people will be to click on your website and therefore the more likely they'll be to spend money. So let's quickly talk about sitemaps. Having a sitemap as part of your website can be important when trying to tell Google, hey, here are the awesome pages of my website that I'd like your weird robot crawler to index. I'm not going to go too into sitemaps aside from telling you that you should have one. To make sure that you do, just visit the website above. And again, we're going to give you a recording of this, so you don't need to try and scribble it down now. So Having a website that uses an SSL certificate used to be only important for e-commerce websites. However, that's really no longer the case. Google has recently announced that any website without an SSL certificate will be marked as unsecure. Not insecure, but unsecure, though you will definitely feel insecure about having an unsecure website. There isn't much else to say about this either, aside from the fact that if you don't already have an SSL certificate for your website, you should seriously consider getting one. Getting an SSL certificate depends on your website's hosting company, so just check with them. If you use Squarespace, then your website automatically has one. If you use Wix, then you may already have one, but you should still check. So as I mentioned in the slides on mobile friendliness, your website needs to load as fast as possible. This goes for the desktop version as well, obviously. Google uses this as a ranking factor. If your website loads slowly, Google won't want to show it to their customer, the searcher, because it's a bad user experience. The easiest way to see if your website load time can be improved is to run it through a free testing tool like the one Google offers. Just Google page speed, and it should be the first result. It is the URL you see on the screen, but again, we'll send you a recording of this, or you can just Google the Google page speed. Once you allow Google to scan your website, it'll show you exactly what to fix, and usually it is as simple as just reducing the file sizes of your images on the website. So now let's talk about meta descriptions. A meta description, they're the group of texts that appear under the main title of web pages on search engine results pages. There's a good chance you already have some meta descriptions, but an even better chance that you can improve them. Meta descriptions do not help your website rank higher in search results, but they do get people to click on your website from the search engine results page, which in turn does help your SEO. So what makes a good meta description? Well, anything that would encourage someone to click on the page that the meta description is talking about. So since your actual meta description doesn't affect your ranking, you should focus on hitting people only with the information they need in order to get them to click or tap. That's why my favorite example above is the bottom one. It focuses on what I need to know and doesn't distract me with stuff I don't care about. The only thing that's really missing is I would say they should add like a learn more, a call to action, or something like that. As for changing the meta descriptions you have, that depends on the software your website was built in. My suggestion would be to perform your own Google search with something like how to change WordPress meta descriptions, etc. So now let's talk about your website content. Mainly what we're talking about here are keywords. So what are keywords? Keywords are what searchers use to find businesses like yours on search engines. They're also what Google uses as signifiers to spotlight what people search for and then ultimately what web pages they click on. So for example, if you search cheap shoes online, those two search words are also known as keywords. It's really just as simple as that. So if you run a gym, then one of your keywords would be gym. Being a business with a physical location is a major SEO benefit when trying to rank for broad keywords like gym. If you were an e-commerce website catering to the entire US, you would have an immense amount of keyword competition trying to rank first in search results with a keyword like gym. Your physical location benefit is due to Google getting smarter and realizing that if someone in Austin, Texas is searching the word gym, that they don't mean show me all gyms in the world. They mean gyms near where they're searching from. And don't worry, I'll talk more about local SEO in a minute. So how do you find your keywords? Even though local SEO makes it easier to show up for broad keywords like gym or yoga, it can vary depending upon how much direct competition you have in your area, or even how many indirect competitors are trying to rank for those same keywords, like sporting goods stores, rehabilitation centers, etc. This means you'll want to go through a keyword exercise to ensure that you've covered your bases and that your website content reflects what your potential members are searching for online. So more than likely, you already naturally feature relevant keywords throughout your website. If you own a gym, your website probably talks about how your business is a gym and not, say, an oyster bar. Even still, there are some less than obvious, though still organic ways of ensuring Google's crawlers know your website is important and relevant, especially to people searching for what you do. My favorite keyword discovery method, especially if you've never done any search engine optimizing, is to simply type out what a normal human being would type into Google when trying to find a business like yours. This method may seem overly simple, and that's because it is. You may have a lot of competition in your area, and sure, every little edge will help, but that doesn't mean people on Google are going to be any more clever with their searches. You still have to create copy and content that's relevant to real human beings that are making real organic searches into Google. So that being said, if you have a gym in Austin, Texas, you might type out the following possible searches, which are keywords that real people would make. So how can we establish value for keywords? The easiest way is to simply type them into Google yourself and see what comes up. This is also a great way to see what the websites that rank at the top of the search results for those keywords are writing about. If you see that a competitor is ranking #1 for Austin Gym, go ahead and click on that link and see what's so special about the page. You may not always be able to outrank them, but it'll give you a nice starting point, and just to see how they're using their keywords on the page, what they're writing about, how they've laid things out. I mean, if you're going to steal, at least steal from the best. So another way to check keyword value is to use a service that will show you approximately how many searches each keyword string gets per month. To do this, you can use any piece of software out there. Just search, keyword research into Google, and you'll find some great free tools. If you have Google AdWords, then you can use Google's own keyword research tool, which is called the Keyword Planner. Even if you don't plan to pay for Google Ads, I would highly suggest that you create an account so that you can access this tool. The great thing about Google's Keyword Planner is that you can narrow down your results by location, which is shown in the screenshot above. So now that we've reviewed how to isolate your core keywords, let's talk about how and where to use them. Keywords can be used in various places. However, they're most valuable on your website, but not just within the text you write on it. You also need to know where to put keywords in your web page titles, meta descriptions, and other places. And I'll go into that in a moment. First, I want to talk about how isolating valuable keywords helps you on social media with the use of hashtags. While social media hashtags won't specifically help your Google rankings, they will indirectly help in that they help your audience find your social content and then click on what you're posting, which will then help your SEO directly. And just for fun, that is actually the first hashtag ever used on Twitter back in 2007, which is a very long time ago at this point. Isolating your most valuable keywords can also help with online advertising, as you'll know what potential customers are searching for when searching for a business like yours. You then simply use those keywords in your ads to ensure the right audience is seeing them. Knowing your best keywords can even help you with your general marketing copy. If you know what your potential clients or members are searching for when it comes to your business, you can know exactly how to write for them. So my point is you should spend time isolating important keywords, as they're going to help you even beyond SEO. However, for our purposes, we'll focus on how to use them on your website. So using keywords in each web page title of your website is incredibly important for SEO. Not only is this something Google uses to inform its ranking order, it's what searchers see when your website is displayed on a search engine results page. So if you know what keywords your searchers are using in Google, that's what you should put in your web page titles. This way, not only will your web page come up when someone searches using those keywords, but they'll immediately see the connection between your website and what they've searched for. No matter what website creation software you use, you have access to changing web page titles. Right now, your titles might be stuff like your company name or just boring things like about us or schedule, but that's okay because it means you have an opportunity to make changes using the relevant keywords, and you'll almost definitely see improvements. So you may think that because you're a local business focused on a particular fitness niche that you don't need to blog, but in actuality, that's exactly why you should. The benefits of blogging are numerous and not just for SEO. It gets your current members engaged with and helps with retention. It can also get employees involved if you have them help by writing blogs. This is especially awesome if they have any skills or nutrition type stuff they can write about. But most importantly, and for our purposes with keywords and SEO, blogging helps attract targeted prospects to your website. And once they're on your website, specifically your blog in this case, they'll really start to warm up to your business. This is because your blog content will help your website rank higher in Google search results. And the more related to what you do content you post to your website, the more likely it is Google will show it to people online. To find your blog via Google search, your potential prospects may perform a search that doesn't really have to do exactly with what your main business offering is, like working out or yoga classes. They may find a blog entry you've posted on eating to complement a yoga practice, or the benefits of incorporating mindfulness into gym workouts. You should be creative, but stay within the boundaries of what your audience is interested in. That doesn't mean to be boring. You should be the opposite. Keep it related, but don't just write about your business. Write about developments in yoga mat technology or weightlifting techniques or nutrition. So another thing with blogging, it helps to increase dwell time. You want to focus on engaging content, which will in turn help with other aspects of SEO, like overall website dwell time, which is a huge ranking factor and takes into account both how long someone spends on your website and how many people bounce, which means they don't spend long at all. A long session is good. A short session, otherwise known as a bounce, is bad. So this relates to blogging because the more engaging content you provide, the longer a person will spend on your website. So just some blogging guidelines. You should post consistently. This means posting once every 3 months isn't going to cut it. Each blog should contain a minimum of 500 words, but the ideal is going to be between 1,250 and 1,500 words. Each blog post should include links to other pages of your website, especially other blog posts you've written. And just one bonus guideline that's not really related to SEO is to make sure to include call to actions on your blogs so that people can take advantage of intro offers or otherwise reach out to you. So let's quickly talk about how to use keywords on your blog. And this goes really for anywhere on your website. You should not use them where they don't organically fit, and don't overuse them even when they do fit. So some places you want to include your most valuable keywords are your blog titles. You want to include keywords in your actual blog article. You want to include keywords in your alt text for your blog images, and I'll explain about alt text in a minute. And you want to include keywords in the URL of your blog. And while we're on the subject of URLs, now is a good time to talk about that. The main thing you want to be aware of with website URLs is that they should be readable by humans, not just deciphered by Google's prowling robots. Having URLs with words in readable order will ensure humans can read and trust them, which makes your links more clickable and thus helping your SEO. You should strive to use keywords in your URLs if possible, but again, don't force them if they don't make sense. One thing to keep in mind, if you do decide to make changes to existing web page URLs, know that changing your URLs could break any existing links if your website software doesn't automatically redirect from the previous version of it. So let's talk about image alt text. Having alt text within your images provides a text-based alternative to images on a web page, thus the word alt being used. Even if you haven't heard of alt text before, you've probably seen it if you left your mouse hovering over an image on a web page. It's that text that pops up until you move your mouse away, like in the example above taken from a ClubOS blog post. Having alt text helps in two ways. Since Google's creepy crawlers can't actually see your images, at least not yet, but they're actually getting there, you want to help them understand what images you have on your web pages. And sure, that is great for your website's overall SEO, but more importantly, making sure your website has descriptive alt text for images also helps with the accessibility of your website. So if someone can't see, alt text makes it much easier for your website to be read to them. So now that we've covered your website and keywords, let's talk a little bit about what you could do to help your SEO efforts out in the real world. There's really only one thing I want to cover here, and that's something called link building. So one of the single best things you can do to increase Google's trust in your own website is to have other websites link back to you, especially those that are relevant to what you do. This is commonly known as link building or backlinks. So how can you build links? The key to successful link building is to focus on getting your website linked to by other websites that are related to what you do. That doesn't always have to be the case, as a nice write-up on your local paper's website isn't a bad thing. That will still give you some clout in Google's eyes, but you also need to have backlinks from people related to your industry, like nutritionists or personal trainers or teachers or professional bloggers that write about your industry. I think you get the idea. So what doesn't count as a backlink? Having someone link to your Facebook page instead of your website, that gives Facebook the win and not you. Having someone post a link to your website from their social media does not help either. That may send people to your website, which is great, but those are not true backlinks. And finally, having links in emails won't help with the backlink strategy either. So one more quick thing on link building, it's really not just for external websites. You should also have an internal link building strategy where you link to your own web pages within your own website. This also includes within your blog articles. So it's not as beneficial as SEO as external link building, but it's still valuable and shows Google that there are connections between the things that you write about. So let's talk about SEO, and we're almost done, by the way. Um, Really, as I mentioned earlier, by having a physical location, you have some inherited SEO benefits, but that doesn't mean that Google automatically knows you're a local business, nor does it let Google know that you're a local business worth highlighting in search results for what your business does. To ensure Google knows about your business, you need to use Google My Business. There's really no option. You just have to use it. This is where you can edit your business hours, your location, say your industry settings so that Google knows what kind of business you are and more, and really everything else. So go to business.google.com to make sure you're set up correctly and fill in any gaps in information. That's one of the key things Google says about this. You need to make sure all of your information is filled out there on your profile. So a few less obvious things you can do to enhance your local SEO. On your website, you should consider having your physical address in the footer, which means it'll appear on every web page of your website. If you have multiple locations, at least make sure all physical addresses are featured on a page or two or more, really only where they make sense though. You should also consider embedding a Google map on your website that shows your location. And one of the most important things is you should get more positive reviews on Google. That is confirmed. That's a confirmed local SEO ranking factor, as the more reviews a business has, the more prominence Google gives to that business. You can manage Google reviews from your Google My Business account, which again is not really optional. You just have to have that. So let's bring it all together. Um, you want to get people to your website with SEO, and then you want to make it as easy as possible for them to take an action. If you take the time to care about your SEO, you need to also make sure it's as easy as possible for website visitors to hand over their contact information. That's really what it's all about. Once a person is viewing your website, you need to show them the information they expect to see, and then make sure they know how to contact you or take advantage of an intro offer or join your mailing list. It's really whatever you want. Just make sure they don't look around, then quickly leave, because who knows if they'll come back. And once you do have their contact information, you can use a system like ClubOS to automatically follow up with them until they become a paying member. So that's really about it. We haven't covered everything there is to know about SEO, but we did cover a lot. What makes SEO seem complex is that it requires effort. And if you're going to blog, you can't just blog for a month and be done with it. If you're going to find your core keywords, you have to continue using them in various ways to avoid any competitors outranking you. And if you're going to build links on other websites, you have to really do it consistently. As I mentioned on the previous slide, if you get targeted visitors to your website, make sure that they can easily take a desired action so that it's not just for nothing. And once they take that action, you should use a service like ClubOS to automate your sales process so that they easily go from website visitor to paying member. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to throw it back over to Callie. I want to thank everyone for attending, and this was great.
Thank you, Andy. That was extremely helpful. I think even if you are a marketing genius, you can learn something from everything that you just spit out there. So that was awesome. Also, like I mentioned, we will be sending out this recording directly after, so you could expect it later this afternoon. Share it with your team, go back through it, listen to parts again, just to get more in depth. And then also, if you have any questions at all on any of the stuff we covered or any questions about ClubOS in general, that email right here, hello@club-os.com, is the perfect place to message us, and we will get back to you very quickly. So thank you again, Andy, and thank you everyone for attending. We hope y'all have a great rest of your day.